Yo, everybody, welcome back to Hentai Hermanos for the first time in a long time. I haven't recorded this, I think, like 2 years. Actually, the last time I tried to record the podcast, it was off air with another streamer friend of mine, Kururu Forever. We talked about anime. We had a discussion about women in anime. I had a similar discussion with her because I also want to get another perspective. And the audio got lost, along with the audio for all of my other podcasts that I did prior. So that was great. That was a great time. And then I kind of went on a long hiatus. Hey, yo, DKP. Yo, what's good, dog? I haven't talked to you in a minute. Glad to see you supporting. But yeah, welcome back to Hentai Hermanos. I decided I wanted to record again. I've been saying I want to do that for months because I've been on Kururu Forever's streams every Saturday doing Reconnected, the show where we talk about Nigerian culture, African culture, culture in general. Hey, Usamblo, what's up, Pablo? Eventually you're going to get Pablo back on here. He's the one who started this with me. But yeah, I've been doing those streams with Kudu, getting in touch with my Nigerian ancestry and also just Nigerian culture in general, which I've been trying to do for a while. And in fact, yesterday we had Sophia on to talk about Swiss culture. We end up talking about it a lot. You want to introduce yourself to the people once again, because you've been on here before. Actually, you've been on here technically twice, because we recorded twice. Well, no, that's different. That's for the stream. For the podcast, so yeah, for the stream, you've been on here like 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
For the podcast, you've been on twice because we had to talk about women in anime and who we thought the best were, as well as some lackluster ones. And we also, you playing Pokemon Go. Yeah. We also talked about my long-standing theory on Naruto, Sasuke, and Gaara being gay and or bi, and how that makes for a better story in Naruto. Go check that one out. That's actually super popular. You can either listen to it on YouTube or on Spotify. I say listen to it on Spotify because I run ads on that joint and I'll be able to get money back. Or on Anchor. On Anchor is also running ads on it. And yeah, I'm shilling for myself because I'm broke. But yeah, so you want to introduce yourself again to the people?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Sophia. I'm visiting this podcast today. And I'm from Switzerland. Most of you guys know. Yes, that's where my accent is from.
Your accent is from. Yeah, we've had a lot of interesting conversations just because you've been here for a minute, and also we talk all the time. Mm-hmm. But we've been watching quite a few things. We have been on like a 2-year quest to finish Bleach from start to finish, but like live in person. And since you live in Switzerland and I live in Maryland, that's very difficult. But we finally did that. We finished the anime. There's still more Bleach for you to finish because I finished Bleach. I read Bleach like twice.
I have to read it still.
Yeah, and I've also watched it countless times because it's been out for a long time. It's one of my like the anime I grew up with. Pablo says he's trying to currently finish Bleach. Yo, finish it, dog, because the last arc, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, is getting animated and it's right now, and it's supposed to come out in October of this year, and I can't wait for it. It's one of the like best looking arcs, and it's one of the most like fast-paced, action-packed arcs, and it's super important one because it's the ending. Technically, Kubo actually wrote more with the Hell arc, which came out this year. Mm-hmm. And I think he did a chapter for it that I read. That was the prologue, I think, and he's going to do even more chapters, I heard. And it takes place after the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, like several years. Like everyone's grown, like Ichigo's an adult. But the 1,000-Year Blood War arc is insane, and a lot of things get answered that have been kind of led up to for a long time, which is great. But you haven't gotten to that, so I won't be able to talk to it or talk on that more. I can only talk on what we did watch, which was from the kind of Monster of the Week era all the way up to the Full Brain arc, which I told you a bunch of times that me and my boy, who's also been on here, Seth, we used to just dog on the Fullbring arc. We hated it when it came out, and rereading it one, and then we rewatching it, and then watching like analysis videos on it. I completely like wrong. I take back everything I said about the Fullbring arc, except for the name. The name is stupid. I think that I hold up to. But like, what do you think of the Fullbring arc in particular? Since that's the last thing we saw, that's fresh in our minds.
Yeah, I honestly think it's very good. But I might have been like influenced by your opinion, being like, I used to hate this, but actually it's not that bad. Like, it might actually be a really good arc, especially for the character development, and we see a lot of side characters actually having some screen time that is not just them doing something stupid, but like also grow as a character. So like there's a lot of focus on more than just Ichigo, which I guess was missing in the previous, like most of the arcs.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. To a certain extent, because the way I think I said this to you, that we hadn't really had an arc that really focused on character development like that since the beginning of Bleach. With like the Monster of the Week stuff, the Soul Society arc was great, as well as the beginnings of the Ronkar arc. I think those arcs were able to like sprinkle in character development very well, with like Orihime and Chad getting their powers for the first time and exploring those characters, and then Rukia giving her powers to Ichigo and exploring and learning more about what a Soul Reaper is and hollows in the world, and then how Ichigo and company react to that. Meeting Uryu, and then going to the Soul Society and kind of having everything we learned from the Monster of the Week era culminate in the Soul Society arc. And like all this, it's an info dump, but also a visual for what all the things that Rukia was explaining to Ichigo kind of encompass, where it all comes from, and like what it all kind of the end all be all is of that information. And then it just kind of kept rolling. But then we get to like the middle of the Arrancar arc, where Ichigo's focusing more on controlling his hollow powers, and it's kind of the Ichigo show until Orihime gets not even captured, but like, because she goes willingly, but it's still kidnapping.
I think she doesn't go willingly, in the sense of like, if she doesn't go, she believes that her friends will suffer.
Well, that's why I said it's still kidnapping. Because she made the choice, so it was willing, but it was like under duress.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like, so we got to see her perspective in that case, and we kind of flip back to her with the Hueco Mundo show, essentially, where we see her being captured and her dealing with the Arrancar there every once in a while. But for the most part, it's Ichigo training. At least that's how I remember it. It's Ichigo training and fighting to get her back around that era. Actually, no, I'm getting things a little bit confused in the timeline, because he trains with the Visors first, and then Ukiota comes to get Orihime, and then they go to Hueco Mundo after he's already learned how to manifest the mask.
Yeah, because Orihime studies with them too. She learns, or like, at least she meets someone that has similar powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she doesn't really improve as far as I know.
No, and that's like one of my biggest complaints with the side characters in Bleach, is that Chad and Orihime especially have so much potential to be better characters, but they kind of get just thrown to the side during this arc in particular, where they could have got explored more, because Orihime meeting Hachi should have been a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Because he literally has the same like barrier powers, except for him it's Kido, and for Orihime they still don't really explain what it is. I remember my boy Seth and I were like, "Oh, it's Fullbring," but they never say that.
Yeah, like to this day you don't know if she's a Fullbringer.
Yeah, like they never say that, and they don't even really allude to it either. Because because the whole thing about Fullbringers getting their powers is that a hollow attacked their mothers when they were pregnant. But we don't know anything about Orihime's family except that they were abusive, and her brother took her and ran away and took care of her. So there's no implication that she's a Fullbringer. There's no clear implication that she has any powers linked to Quincy's, Soul Reapers, Hollows, anyone. It's just that she has these powers, and they're unlike anything else except for Hachi's barriers. But even Hachi's like, your powers aren't really like mine healing wise because you reverse time, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
She kind of has like the most OP healing ability in the entire verse, and no one explains it.
Yeah.
And she also like kind of gets, which also makes her like a super important character, plot wise, because she is always healing everyone.
Yeah, but like the first chance they get, they just throw it on the side.
Yeah, she could have so much more going.
Even more than like, I feel like it's because she's not a guy. Cause, yeah, even Chad, eventually gets like his second, like he develops his second arm more. Yeah, cause he has a shield and like
in the attack arm.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, that's a. Orihime definitely, I think, gets shafted a little bit because of her being a woman. Because one thing in action-based things is that women are always the healers.
Somehow, yeah.
So I feel like if she was a guy character, she wouldn't be the healer. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I think that Kubo just kind of has a problem with the amount of side characters he put, and it's kind of akin to like Naruto, where like there's a lot of cool side characters, but you can't get to all of them.
Yeah.
And Chad is one that also gets shafted because Chad gets his left arm, the Brazo la Izquierda del Diablo. He gets the left arm of the devil. Yeah, he gets that during the Aranca arc when he's fighting the Priverón Espada, and which is also something cool. I actually kind of want to talk about that because I love that fight. But when he's fighting the Priverón Espada and he gets that power, they're like building up Chad so much. It's like his big moment. It's actually like the coolest thing to happen to Chad in the entire manga and anime is that fight. It's like the most development he gets at one time. It's the most like action he gets to like engage in it at one time. It's like the only time he wins a fight that's not against a hollow, that's just like a regular monster. And he gets a power up. He gets a huge power up. I think he also get the shield arm in that same fight? So that's 2 power ups in one. So I'm pretty sure he didn't have the shield until that fight. I could be wrong, but if nothing else,
I think it's not at the same time, but it's pretty close.
No, it's not at the same time. I think he gets the shield first, and then it doesn't do enough, and then he gets the arm of the devil.
Yeah.
And then he absolutely dog walks the Priverón Espada. But like immediately after that, Tora shows up and wipes him. And then Chad's not in the show until the end of that arc, where he also gets wiped because he can't do anything. It was like when Ichigo's getting sent to the fake Karakura town, and Chad and Renji and Rukia are fighting against the dude who could make his own army.
Oh yeah.
And
I remember
that was just a lot of nothing for real.
Yeah. They reused the same scene like 20 times.
Yeah, and it really just didn't need to be there. It just kind of, the purpose it served was just to have them be busy while Ichigo is having his Vasto Lorde moment with Ukiura. They just need an excuse for them not to be there. Which, honestly, I don't know, I don't think they needed to have that.
They made this character like, I don't know, because for them it was kind of the boss fight, right? While Ichigo was fighting the higher boss, and like yeah. But it was underwhelming. Very.
But to talk about something good with Chad, when he's fighting the Priverón Espada, oh yeah, DKP, I'm new to anime world and this is interesting AF. Great combo. Thanks, Doug. I really do appreciate that. I definitely recommend watching Bleach, and actually I recommend reading Bleach more so than watching it. Bleach is one of the big 3. It was Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. Those were the big 3 of like our era when we were growing up. that kind of like ushered in after like the for shonen after Dragon Ball and everything. But like Bleach gets kind of shat on constantly because of how the anime kind of played out. Whereas like Naruto and One Piece continued going on until Naruto finished proper, and One Piece is still going on. Bleach actually got canceled. Do I recommend reading before watching?
You'll be disappointed probably.
You will be disappointed, but I do think it's worth seeing everything play out. But also, I do because I'll say do in general with anime, any anime. So I am into Jujutsu Kaisen heavy right now,
Oh yeah, it's very
and
good.
I am reading it, and I started reading it before I started watching it, and I definitely recommend seeing things play out and then watching it all get animated, especially if it's done by a good studio. Studio Mappa is a really good animation studio, and so watching them animate Jujutsu Kaisen after reading it and like knowing everything that's going to go down is super satisfying. Same with Attack on Titan. I watched the first season of Attack on Titan, then I started reading it, and I saw everything go down in the manga, and then I started watching it all go down. Super satisfying. But back to what was it? The Privedon Espada fight with Chad.
I have one mention for getting into anime. Whatever it is, like Jujutsu Kaisen and Attack on Titan are very recommended because that's an easy start. Like not to start with like Bleach that has I think short of 400 episodes and Naruto has 400 something.
Naruto has like
500 by now probably.
even I think more than that. I know it has 700 chapters and I think like 600 episodes, but I think
A lot of them are fillers.
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is that a lot of the episodes are fillers. If you're someone who is into binging shows, then the big three is definitely for you. But you'd have to find a website that lists which ones are and are not fillers. That's a huge problem with that era of anime in general, and that's kind of part of why people look down on things like Naruto, even One Piece and Bleach, is that there's so many filler. Because at the time, what would happen is that the anime would catch up with the manga, because manga are weekly, more often than not. Sometimes they're not, but and so like a mangaka can only write so much at a time, and when they catch up, these studios would just make up new stuff. Hey, Kuru, what's poppin'? I didn't think you'd pop in. Are you not streaming today, or are you just gonna are you just popping in and say hi, then you're gonna stream? But the manga would get caught up to by the anime, and so the anime studio would just make filler. They just make their own episodes. Oh, she's streaming in a minute. Yo, everyone, check out Kurudu Forever. How do I do a shout out on this joint? I haven't used this forever. I think it's SO. I think this is it. It's not. Yeah, I'll figure out how to use Twitch again. Thank you. Am I dumb?
Maybe
Am I
it's
stupid?
exclamation mark on both sides.
Am I simple?
Or do you need? Because now, like, it can't differentiate. Like, you probably
Hey,
need
look.
something in between.
You see how it's spelled? You know who it is. At nickname. Thank you. Just hold my hand and walk me through it, okay?
I forgot to add.
Oh yeah, good catch. But yeah. So like the filler episodes would be made by the studio, and they would be non-canon. There we go. Yep. There you go. Check her out. But and a lot of times they'd be bad because it'd just kind of be silly stuff, and it'd be very out of character and has nothing to do with the story. And people hated it because it also would go on for so long while the manga is trying to make more content to get put into the anime.
Especially in Bleach, there's some very random ones. The ones that we watched, we skipped a lot of them actually. But in Naruto, sometimes you'll see that they use the time to like develop a character more, tell a backstory, So I recommend some of them. There's a list of what is relevant and what not. Like it's usually called canon, right?
Yeah.
Um.
Hold on one
So
second.
yeah.
Who said that there's an echo that comes and goes? Kudu, can you hear us fine now, or is it still echoing? Check, check, check. Yeah, let us know if it's still echoing. If not, then we're all good. I messed around with a few things.
Oh.
I want to make sure there's no echo before we continue going. But man, the ostrich filler is the best thing in Naruto. I hated
Which
that.
one is it?
It's just I don't even. It's just a filler about a dumb ass ostrich.
Oh, I remember that. Oh yeah.
It
Yeah,
comes and
there's
goes.
some very silly fillers.
Yeah, and then yeah, it's just a lot of dumb stuff. Actually, like there's some silly ones that we watched for Bleach that were okay.
Yeah, but you can tell like by how the storyline is and how the characters talk that it's a filler. You don't even need to look on the list. It's
Yeah.
crazy, yeah.
Well, like when it goes from like a final like boss battle to today we're going to the grocery store, wacky hijinks ensues. It's like okay, it's very clear that this is not canon. That they're just filling time. They're just like a grocery store run gone wrong, gone sexual. It's like okay, this is not part of the story of the giant monster we were just fighting 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. When I first started watching anime, that I found that super confusing. I was like, what is going on? Did I miss something? Like, yeah, I really didn't get it. I was a weekly watcher for Naruto. Thank you, Kuro.
Said Sophia here, so nice, yeah.
Yeah, for Naruto, yeah, back then I didn't know about like filler lists. Only later into the show, but like, yeah, sometimes it's very confusing because you have like two storylines going on. Especially Naruto, they kind of make a little bit something bigger out of it, which is cool. But then you have like two storylines at the same time sometimes.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, sometimes Pablo said talking about Bleach fillers. He said I skipped the two whole filler arcs after the Soul Society, and then it started somewhere out of nowhere. I was super confused. Yeah, no, like sometimes they will have like entire filler arcs that seem like they're canon, but they're not. Like we skipped a couple. Like there was one where they like had a new captain for a squad, one of the squads that no longer had a captain because they turned evil. I just didn't find it interesting when it happened. I wanted to just complete the story, so we skipped it. And there was another one that happens before the full bring arc that we skipped. And I mean, I appreciate the effort to like make an entire like story,
Yeah, I think it's better.
but at the same time, I'm like, I just want to continue the canon. Naruto actually has some really good filler that could be canon. And sometimes they go into things that what's the word I'm trying to use? They delve into things that are canon, but in a non-canon way. So it's like not official. For example, Itachi.
Yeah, the backstories
Yeah,
mainly.
the backstory of Itachi and him like killing the clan is the filler's not canon technically, not entirely.
It is very interesting. You understand a lot more about the character.
Yeah, because Itachi, it's based on, at least I think this came after. There's actually the novel Itachi, was it Hinden or Hiden? That delves into Itachi's backstory directly. It's a whole novel. And yeah, no, I think it's based on it because in the novel, Hinden, thank you, Pablo. But in the novel, it doesn't go down the exact same way as in the anime filler, but it's very similar, and so you kind of get a better, an interesting idea. Touching on that real quick, because I do want to finish up with Chad and preview on Espada. The Itachi Hinden has a scene, and I haven't read it, but I've heard like people talk about it who read it, who talked about like how cool it was, and they said that there's a scene where Itachi he has to kill his girlfriend because she's part of the Uchiha clan. And the way he does it is that he uses the Mangekyo Sharingan on her to use Tsukuyomi. And he like you know how Tsukiyomi like causes time to be felt differently for the victim.
Yeah.
So what he did was he, instead of torturing her like he did Kakashi,
Yeah.
he had her live out her entire life in her head, where she had a happy life with Itachi and they got married and grew old together. And then she like died like living like happily, instead of, which like is a huge character moment for Itachi, because it's like that just proves
Yeah.
how good of a person he is, to where he's like, I don't want to do this but I have to, so I'm gonna at least make it so that you have the life that we should have had for just a split second. Like that's amazing to me, like because I love Itachi, he's a great character. And Pablo said he didn't know this. No, yeah,
I
like,
didn't notice either, or I missed the moment. Or
well, no, because it's in the novel, and because
I
in the
see.
anime she's killed by Obito. Because in the anime they kind of take away from, it's a cool filler, I like it, I recommend it, but they take away from Itachi's character because they have him team up with Obito, where he's like, hey, I'm not strong enough to take on the whole clan, can you help me do this? And Obito's like, yeah, you gotta, and but you gotta do something for me, and he joins the Akatsuki afterwards. And Obito ends up taking out the police, the Uchiha police, because like they're, you know, some of the most elite Uchiha there, which is why they're part of the police force. And he also ends up killing Itachi's girlfriend, while Itachi takes on the rest of the clan, who are like civilians mainly, in his family, which takes away from it so much more, because initially the idea is that Itachi's so powerful at such a young age that he can kill, that he basically he's worth the entire Uchiha clan because of just how powerful and how skilled he is. But when you make it so that he had to have the help of Obito, who had
I mean, it's
like
still very
Senju like DNA, and he had his Kamui, and he had more experience and training from Madara, it takes away from Itachi's like power, and also from his character of like having that burden of having to do all of that by himself.
I never realized that he had help, because in the flashbacks you always see only him. Right?
Yeah, but that's because it's only in the filler. It's like it's not canon.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying,
Yeah,
like, I like the
haven't
book
seen
better.
all filler. Yeah.
Me either, but I purposefully sought out the ones that were good.
Yeah, sometimes I watch them. Sometimes I'm not completely caught up with Naruto, anyways. So like everything that came out like after the fight with Madara. Yeah. Like I left at the end of the Madara fight.
Word.
Yeah.
You didn't watch the Kaguya fight?
Well, that was when I went to Japan and I just stopped watching it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it literally right after that is the ending. It's Kaguya,
Yeah,
and then
so
Naruto
close.
and Sasuke.
I know. It's close.
Pablo said with Naruto, at some point I just read the manga and didn't watch the anime anymore, except like the big fights. That's what I did.
Yeah, I would recommend it towards the end. It's like a huge fight, but they don't know where they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, the studio, not well, like outside influence was just like, hey, Kishimoto, we want to make more money off of you through Naruto, so we want to continue the story. So you have to change the like boss fight from Madara to something else to continue it. And then he like made Kaguya, because he's like, okay, we can do the Dragon Ball Z thing where we bring in aliens and continue the story with the kids or whatever. And then Boruto was a thing, and people were not happy about that, including me. I'm people.
Yeah, I don't like Boruto. I never started it.
The manga's actually really good. People are saying that the anime has finally gotten good. And like in concept, the way that Boruto the anime started with like more slice of life kind of things is interesting.
Yeah, but it's a big cut. Which might be good, because like you were watching a review of some shows, but they desperately try to continue their show.
I was watching Jay's review. Shout out Jay's reviews on YouTube. I was watching his reviews of his retrospective of the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that went on for too long.
Yeah. The points he brought up were really good. Like part of it being like they did the same concept, but like in a different context, I guess, and like with a different main mood, like it being darker.
Yeah, they would change the tones.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't like stay tonal, because like the 2003 Ninja Turtles would. He brought this up too. Like each season kind of had its own thing going on. but it worked, and it's reminiscent of the original comic book too. But they would gradually change the tone and develop the characters. So towards season 4, Leonardo was kind of going through a depressive like phase because of events that had happened previously, and they built that up until the culmination of his character dealing with that all like in its finality. And then they just kind of skipped over it with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fast Forward, which was aimed more at the kid audience, and so they made it more upbeat, more colorful. Yo, Itzy's here. Look who I brought, says Guru. Yeah, thank you. More friends, the better. But yeah, we were talking about anime and animation and filler arcs, just a lot of stuff. But one more thing again, because I keep saying this, I want to get back to, because I love my boy Chad.
Yeah.
I want to get to like the one good moment he has in Bleach is when he's fighting the Priverona Espada. I love this fight for a lot of reasons actually. One, because I told you I looked up to Chad as a kid because he was like, before Yoruichi got introduced and before Don Kanonji got introduced, Chad was like the darkest person on Bleach.
Yeah.
And me being like a little black kid who loves anime, seeing him and seeing him not be like a stereotype of any kind of culture was like super cool, because Chad is Mexican and Japanese. And part of this is actually just going to be me gushing about Chad's character and as a build up to it. Part of Chad's entire character identity is his skin.
Chad?
Yeah. His entire, yeah, he says so. So in the beginning, when we meet Chad, and he's having his character arc where we like see the flashbacks of how he and Ichigo met through like, and how he like learned from his abuelo. We see that Chad, one, he was bigger than other kids, so he would bully them to make himself feel better. And then adults would run up on him and try to like beat him up, and his abuelo, who's also buff as fuck for no reason, even though he's an old man, would defend Chad, and he would be like, hey, you don't use your fists to hurt people, you only ever use them to protect. But even more than that, you know, you got to care for people, you have to be a good person, be nice. And then presumably his abuelo like dies, probably, like, we don't know how, and he gets sent back to Japan, Chad that is. And so he takes in, his abuelo gave him the coin which he put on the necklace, and so he carries that, that's like his most important thing to him. But he takes the lessons from his abuelo and to heart, and even though he's like 6'75", he doesn't hurt anyone. And so all the punk kids always want to beat up on Chad, kind of like on a prison thing where he's like the biggest guy there, if we can beat him, we show that we're tough, the toughest around. But Chad's not going to fight back, and he didn't. And then Ichigo, being Ichigo, saw that someone was being hurt, that someone was being picked on, that someone needed help, and he came to his rescue. And he gave him back his coin, and that's when they started becoming friends. And Chad keeps coming back to that memory throughout the entire show and every arc after, because he's like, I'll do anything for Ichigo, because like we said we would. And there's a part in the Soul Society arc where, well, no, before that, I'm gonna go in chronological order. When Ichigo's little sister Kari, and she can see ghosts and hollows too. So she's getting attacked by a hollow, and Chad sees this. He's like, that's Ichigo's little sister, and he goes after her to protect her, even though he can't like do anything. And that's when he gets his powers for the first time. And the reason he did that is because it's Ichigo's sister. Now Chad's a good dude, and he'll protect anyone, as shown when he protects the bird. But his like respect and care for Ichigo made it so that he's like, I will sit here and throw hands with a giant monster that's like a skyscraper tall, because this is my friend's like blood relative. And that ended up imbuing him with literal supernatural power. And it was his fist. That's when he got his first form of his full brain. Then later on in the Soul Society arc, when he's in the Soul Society with Ichigo and everyone, he comes up against Shunsui Kurako, who's a captain, super powerful. He's actually like one of the most powerful people in the Soul Society, low key. Literally trained by Genryu Yamamoto, the head captain. And he's like, Kurako's so chill. He's like, look, we don't even have to fight. We can just have a drink and wait until all this blows over. And Chad's like, you seem like a nice guy, but I can't do that. He's like, why? He's like, because you're an enemy of my friend, and I'll do anything for Ichigo. And so he like is gonna scrap with Kuroko, even though he's like, his dude's too powerful. And of course, he loses
Yeah.
very handily. Kuroko doesn't even try. But that shows a lot of like character for Chad, like how loyal he is. And then in the Mundo arc, it's the same deal, where he's like, Orihime got taken, and that's our friend, and that's Ichigo's friend. And Ichigo's like, hey, we're gonna go. He's like, okay, like we're gonna go. And that brings us here to the Primo de Espada fight, where like you have Chad, who dark skinned mixed dude fighting against the Primo de Espada, who's also like a dark skinned character, and he's very like clearly black coded, but he's like Afro Latino coded. Like he literally has an afro. He's wearing like a 70s getup, and like his features are very Afro Latino, and I'm pretty sure he even speaks a little bit of Spanish. I'm pretty sure
the whole arc is kind of
well, it's all
inspired.
Spanish. Yeah, it's all Spanish inspired, but like he in particular, like not everyone there speaks like Spanish just casually. They have titles in Spanish.
Yeah.
But because the other people on Espada Dodoni was Italian coded,
Yeah.
and this one was like Afro Latino coded. And I was like, this is so cool to have this big bad fight between two dark skinned characters who are Latino coded.
Yeah.
And one of them's even like Afro Latino coded. So I was like, dude, this is giving me two cool characters to look at. And he's also played up as a nice dude, even though he was a bad guy. Where it's just like he's honorable still. So it's Dodoni. And it was a really cool fight to see. It was a lot of focus on Chad that we didn't get in a long time. And then Chad gets his power up. And I was like, so that's one of like my favorite parts of Chad's arc, at least. And then to the Fullbring arc, to go back to Chad's character being like centered on his skin color. And when Ginjo's explaining Fullbring to Ichigo, he's like, hey, like something important to us, we bring out the soul in that, and we're able to use it for our power. And when Ichigo's training with Riruka in her dollhouse, he can't figure out what item he cares about enough to do that.
Yeah.
And then Chad like comes in and he opens up the dollhouse. He's like, it's your pride. Like, what are you proud of? What do you have so much pride in? He's like, for me, it's my skin. That's why my power is my arms. I'm like, that's deep. That's deep to have like a dark-skinned character in an anime of all things be like, my skin is my pride. That's my power. That's so deep. And that spoke to me even when I didn't like the Fullbring arc. I was like 15 when it came out. Super young, going through a lot of things regarding my race as well. And that spoke to me. And hearing it again post 2020 and all the things that happened in America here, and post me like having the show with Kudu Reconnected, where we talk about culture and black history and black cultures throughout the world. Like that's super deep and hits even harder like as an adult. And I really wanted Chad to get more development, but that was a really cool moment for him. Those two things, him explaining that in the Fullbring arc, as well as him having his fight where he just dog walks the Primo de Espada, but they have like a cool mutual respect for each other as well, which again, as like two characters that were coded as people of color, was cool to see, because it could have easily just been a smackdown and that's it, but to have them both be cool with each other is also cool. Samblo say, I really never knew there were Mexican characters in Bleach, but I saw that and absolutely loved it. No, yeah, like it's like the only explicitly Mexican characters is Chad and his abuelo is canonically dead. But like Chad is technically a main character, and like that's really cool. He's like explicitly Mexican, not just vaguely Latino or vaguely Hispanic. He's explicitly Mexican and Japanese mixed. And then on the other hand, like the Arrancar, all very Spanish inspired. Their attacks, their directions, I mean that on its own, and the other things are Spanish words or inspired by Spanish words. Like I'm pretty sure Ukiyoda's name is inspired by a Spanish phrase. I believe that's what I heard on a forum. Someone said it's supposed to be like an amalgamation of the words al que hora. In like I said, the Privero Espada, whose name I don't remember, was very clearly Afro Latino coded. But that's a huge thing that I give Kubo praise for is the amount of diversity in Bleach and him being able to take cultural inspiration and use it very well. Like I haven't really seen anyone be on par with him.
Yeah, they like to use cultural references, but usually goes wrong.
What do you mean?
For example, the castle in the sky. Is it?
Castle in the Sky. What about that one?
I think it's a which anime?
That's a Ghibli joint.
Yeah, it's Ghibli. Well, I think it's an anime.
Yeah, but you're saying which? I was saying it's a Ghibli joint.
Oh, I'm talking about the title. The place they ended up calling the Buddha, which is
Pablo just called it. Yeah.
yeah, I call it. Yeah, it's They were like, oh, this culture is called. What do we choose? Yeah.
Yo.
That went a bit wrong.
Oh, I didn't know that. I forgot about that.
The producer and like the writer found out after, and he was like, he felt very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I haven't seen Castle in the Sky in so long, so that didn't register for me at all. I didn't remember that it was called that. I think
it was Castle in the Sky, but I might be wrong.
It seems like, but it might be because Pablo's also agreeing with you because he immediately called it. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean that happens. That happens sometimes when you want to like use a culture to sound cool and exotic, and you just don't know what you're talking about.
He didn't even like. He could have looked it up online, like translate. Google Translate at least.
Yeah.
It can't be that bad. Although I have to say, Japanese Google Translate is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Like you will get literally anything, and Korean as well. Like I tried to translate a side sentence for some work, and the translation was like completely wrong. To the point where I was like, those words aren't even in the sentence. Where did he get them from? Because I was just usually I use Google Translate to like translate it and then like rearrange the sentence structure and correct like any mistakes it makes in translating. But this time I was just random. Like it was something completely else. Oh, it was for a lecture class, like translating a book.
All of I really always was like, why the hell they called it that way? Yo, I was oblivious.
Yeah.
I was oblivious. I watched Castle in the Sky back like when on the Cartoon Network Toonami days when they used to show Ghibli films like every like Saturday. But something we talk about Bleach, like in culture in Bleach. How do you feel as a native German speaker? How do you feel about like the Quincy's being based on like German culture and using German words?
Like their pronunciation of, I suppose they're supposed to be German words.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell.
That's crazy because when I said that their pronunciation is like super strong, you were like, no, I could tell. When Uryu was saying like, I don't even remember what it's called.
One, like there's one specific one when they fight those black fellows with the white face. They call them
the Gillians.
Yeah. So after that or during that in a break, he says one word and like you can tell it's German, like supposed to be German, but you can't tell what they're saying. And I think the word itself or the sentence, it was a sentence I think, didn't make sense either. Like I wish they would have contacted some translator instead and like practice with the voice actor to actually pronounce it.
And to be clear, we were watching the dub too. If anyone got a problem with that, you can fight me in real life.
Like, yeah, you couldn't tell what he was saying. And like, no, they really didn't put this together well with the German part, because that's the only time you can really tell that Quincy's are supposed to be like German descent. Because after that, there's not really a scene anymore.
DKP, I heard someone throwing hands. No, I was just saying, because like there's a whole like thing in the anime community about subs over dubs. So the subs being subtitled in your native tongue. For us, it'd be English, versus the dub, the voiceover. And I watch both, and especially during the big three. I feel like the voice actors for Japanese and English in both Bleach and in Naruto are like super close, like in how they sound, and to where it's super interchangeable. I literally watched all of Naruto in Japanese and also English, and same thing with Bleach. I did both ways. So I think that's very interchangeable. Not every anime has a good dub, but like post 2010, I feel like dubs have like increased in quality significantly.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time watching English voiceovers.
Same. I think it's awful, especially if you're used to like Japanese and how like they just do the sentences and the voices they have in Japanese. Then you go to English and it just doesn't fit. Yeah.
Hey, look, if you feel that way, that's fine. I just feel like for again those two examples I gave, they're interchangeable. I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen also has a good voice English voice cast.
Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen definitely, but that's basically the newest out right now.
Yeah, but for the like older ones, I say older, like this was 2005 onward. Like I feel like their English voice casts are really good. Like you ain't gonna tell me that like Mike Guy and Rock Lee aren't perfect for that role in English. You're not gonna tell me that like that Crispin Freeman's a bad Itachi.
Naruto, I don't know in English, I think, or only like when I saw YouTube videos like reactions and like, comments on it. But I watched it in German, which was fine, like Pablo as well, and then in Japanese. And I gotta say the voice choices in German were fine as well, but I prefer them in Japanese.
The Japanese is definitely baller, but I think they had some good stuff. I think they had good stuff for the choices for the English voice cast.
I also think the Japanese speakers truly understand because there's a lot of forms that you can translate into other languages. So like there be additions to words that give the word more feeling, and if you're Japanese, you have all this information. But if it's translated, this information is completely lost.
Well, I feel like that's also something that only a Japanese speaker would understand in the first place.
No, you could translate it. It would just make the translation like you. It's mostly like feelings. Like you can add regret with a verb form.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that only a Japanese speaker would understand that in the first place? Like you can't.
To, like,
you don't really have that in every.
Like for example, brackets. This is said with regret or something like that.
Well, yeah, but
would be complicated.
Well, yeah, like that's not like you just have to do that with your voice.
Yeah.
Regular, like there's not going to be like word choice that's going to make that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But like if they don't have the information of like, for example, there's different versions as well, but like chatta is one, which most people know that have some Japanese learning. Yeah, this if you don't translate this information, you can pronounce any sentence the way you like or the way you think it would go in the context, but that doesn't always like sometimes in Japanese they will say something and you think it's like they're being serious and like they want to do this, but in Japanese itself they add this detail and you're like, oh, they actually don't want to do this, or like, oh, they regret doing this. And the voice actors in English or any other language sometimes don't have this information or ignore it.
Was that a thing that you've like witnessed or like heard happen with a voice actor?
Yeah.
And where?
It's hard to tell a specific. It's something that happens a lot. Like even if you look at books, so I do translation in my classes to learn it. And you can see so much information that's in one sentence in Japanese, and then your German or English sentence is half the size, has half the information. because you can't translate. For example, there's just like many details, like if you put a na at the sentence, and you can't really translate that unless you add another sentence. So it's like very hard to translate details of Japanese because other languages just don't have that kind of form or grammatics.
Mm-hmm.
So in German, for example, you have to mention that they said regretfully. You can like add it, as in English as well, but sometimes you can't, because contextually it would elongate the sentence so much that it just wouldn't be correct to say, like, you can't really use it. The information would be there, but it can't be like a said sentence.
In writing, I feel like that's be way more of a problem, because like you even mentioned yourself in that explanation, which was very good, that you could, if for a foreign language that's not Japanese, you could, it was kind of up to the director to have people translate that, and then for them to direct the actor properly to do that, which I feel like in like 2000, in the early 2000s, for like, what's it called, like Viz Media, what else, like who else was doing stuff back in those days, but like for like all the companies that like have been doing stuff for a while and like who are known for doing things back in the day, they wouldn't have put forth the money or effort to really to be that authentic. Now I feel like much more.
Yeah,
like I look at what a
there's
great
more
example
awareness,
is
yeah.
My Hero Academia. I think the voice acting direction for My Hero Academia is fantastic. I've watched like the side by sides for some of the most powerful scenes,
Yeah.
usually involving All Might. And I think that the English voice actors really hit it like the nail on the head. And the guy who plays Deku is like new to the game too. Whereas Chris Sabat, who plays All Might, has been in it for since the beginning of anime voiceovers in the United States,
Yeah.
basically. But yeah, I think that's definitely something that you'd see more of back during like the big three eras, beginning with Bleach and Naruto, unfortunately. But I
Yeah.
still think that they also progressed over time as well.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They're ones who kept going all the way up until this modern era, and so they had time to increase their productivity and their ability to be more authentic and just to be better actors and directors in a team.
Yeah, sometimes it's just them being bad actors, voice actors as well. I guess it's up to the producer to like guide them as well. So if they don't have the information, they have to make something up, and sometimes that's not that easy, especially maybe they don't always see the scene in context. I would say also sometimes it's very cultural specific information, especially for stereotypes you have with a lot of women in. You can like very strongly, like in a European context or like Western context, it's like, why are they pushing this person in the background so much? Whereas in the Japanese understanding, this like a woman has like different kind of how's the word, like tasks in society,
Roles.
yeah. And in Japanese context, this woman is actually like the role model, and in Western context, this might be completely annoying character that makes no sense.
Like you, how you feel about Orihime?
Yeah, Orihime, but also Sakura. Yeah.
Yeah. With Kishimoto, I remember he, like in an interview, at least that's what everyone keeps saying, that he wrote that he wanted Sakura to be like the every girl, like the everyday girl, as opposed to like a proper kunoichi. And
Oh, he definitely succeeded in that, I guess.
I feel like he didn't even succeed at that myself, because I feel like Sakura is just like so out of place later. Because like in the beginning, yeah, like she's just kind of a regular like 14-year-old girl.
I think well, there's like this context of whole culture, how a woman in Japan is supposed to be. Like you have this cultural standard that you are still kind of supposed to be like the Yosai Kembo. It means like well, it came from like the war and pre-war times. Like you're supposed to be a good mother, like a wise mother, and a good housewife or a good wife, which is usually includes like looking for the society, looking out for the society, but not so much being in the front. So I guess Sakura, she puts herself in the front a lot, but then also not.
That's my thing. It's like in the beginning of Naruto, when it's just called Naruto, Sakura's whole thing is that like she likes Sasuke and doesn't like Ino because Ino likes Sasuke. That's her whole character. She does absolutely
Yeah.
nothing.
I mean, that is everyday girl.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like he does that there, and it's just annoying because she doesn't fit in this world. Like even Ino has something going for her as a kunoichi, where she has her bloodline, her not Kekkei Genkai, but her family's techniques.
But Ino is also, she's also a much stronger character just mentally.
That's what I'm saying. Like she gets different treatment but she's also like her rival. But there's no real rivalry to be had because Ino, like character wise, because Ino's a stronger character. She has something going for her in the ninja world, whereas Sakura does not. She has regular parents. She just wants to like have a crush.
With those two, it's not about strength. It's about who is a better match for Sasuke.
Yeah,
that's the rivalry.
Well, like it. Yeah, but like also, but they convey that through like the physicality because it's a battle shonen. Like they literally have a fight. They literally just throw hands at each other too. That's another thing is that they don't even use any like techniques other than the basic shadow clone technique. But like in Naruto Shippuden, Sakura learns how to become a healer from one of the legendary Sannin Tsunade, the best healer in the world.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, now with this healing ability and the ability to like with physical strength that is ridiculous. She's like, well, now I want to be on par with Naruto and Sasuke. Why? Why do you want to be? You're literally taught as a healer by Tsunade, the best healer in all time, to not put yourself in the front lines. Why are you using your newfound strength to stroke your ego instead of to help your team and be like and to like actually be useful? Because that's her whole thing. Is like she's like, I want to be useful. You can be. You're a healer.
She doesn't want to be left behind. That's the main motivation.
But she won't be left behind if she makes herself useful the way she's supposed to.
She doesn't see that. Like, I don't know. I think below the surface, there's a lot more going on with Sakura, but we just
like what?
Really don't get it explained.
Like what? What do you think is there?
Because her actions are like very specific in one direction. She always wants to go like out and fight, even though she can't. I feel like you see like all this preparation going on that just don't really prepare her for what she wants to do, because she doesn't really want to heal. Like she want to go out and fight with them, but no one explains to her why her healing is the better choice in supporting them. Because maybe it's just education gone wrong.
Well, it's also just like obvious because again, she has all that training with Tsunade for like a year and then continues a little bit after, and like Tsunade explicitly tells her that she's not supposed to go out into the front lines unless it's like the absolute last thing to be done.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't listen. And like Tsunade, because Tsunade herself, she's hot-headed, but she also has her own character growth, which I think we talked about in the first time we were on.
I think Tsunade is much a better character. Like you see much more of her.
Well, the thing is, you only see a ton of her, but she develops like very well.
Yeah.
Like she's well written. And Tsunade herself, like even when you hear about her like top feat in the verse, it's during the war where she was with Jiraiya and Orochimaru, where they got their name as a legendary Sannin, because she went up against Granny Chiyo and her puppet master jutsu and all of her poisons, and Tsunade was just so good at making antidotes that that Chiyo just like grew to kind of hate her because she's too good at being a healer. She's so good at being a healer that she's negating everything, and like her homies are just like wrecking shop. And it's like Tsunade could have went out there and did what Sakura did during her fight with Chio, which was also a cool parallel in the show. Um, but where she just smashed all the puppets with her bare fist. She could have done that, but she knew better. She made the antidotes.
Yeah, she's Tsunade is very much wiser than Sakura.
Yeah, but and you could be right in that. Like Tsunade is not necessarily the best teacher out there. None of the Sanin are. So she didn't get. We only saw very short flashbacks of Sakura's training.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that she just didn't
like we see
instill that in her well enough.
Yeah.
But also Sakura is played up to be like the brains of the group. So I think it's perfectly fine to assume that she's smart enough to figure that out on her own. Especially when it's explicitly told her. Like you don't have to be that smart.
She's also stubborn. Yeah. Like I think she's a character is like very stubborn, and also her Tsunade teaching her the flashbacks we see, she was very frustrated with what she had to do. Like she didn't like it at all.
Well, the one I'm thinking of in particular is when she had to heal the fish from the market. That was caught. Well, I don't know if it was from the market, but she had to heal a fish, and she had to keep doing that over and over again, and she like just couldn't get it for so long. And that's kind of just like basic shonen training of like just keep doing it until you get it. Just basic training in general.
Yeah.
And so I think that that frustration is just like, again, it's just basic training frustration. I don't like at least to me, that it didn't come across to me that she didn't want to be a healer, because she directly went to Tsunade the healer for training.
I think she went to her because she knew Tsunade had like a lot of recognition and she was strong, not because she was a healer necessarily.
I don't see it that way, but sure. I mean, like
I feel like Sakura is a character. There's a lot going on that we just don't get explained, but like her actions are not as rash as you might think. Like they're very consistently in the same direction that just doesn't make sense.
I just don't agree, because like I feel like Sakura's character doesn't have anything going on, and that's the problem. Again, like we're showing her parents, they're just regular people. Sakura was made and written to be just a regular person in a ninja world, but like as a stereotypical 14-year-old girl. I feel like that's her whole issue, is that she has nothing going on in this world, and so when she finally does get something, it doesn't get written properly.
Or maybe she gets something, but she's still this normal person that isn't really included in this ninja mindset.
Maybe, but I feel like that's not like a deeper thing as much as it's just a poorly written character. I feel like her character, everything about her character is right there on the surface, because she's a surface level character from jump. She was meant to be a surface level character and stayed that way.
Yeah, that might be the issue, that they never went deeper.
But there's not, again, like I guess to reiterate my point in different words, I don't think there's any deeper to go, because there was never any intention for that.
Yeah. But that's what makes her a mess of a character.
Yeah. Welcome to the Sakura Haters podcast. We just went on that for quite some time. Meanwhile, like they had a whole conversation in chat. I want to know what they're saying. DKP said, a little off topic, what's your opinion on video games producing anime titles, for example? Do video games do anime shows justice when they create a game from their storyline? Usamblo, he responded, well, they do get some of the story, but I wouldn't exactly say that you could substitute watching the anime just playing the game. And DKP responds, I totally agree. I think also due to ESRB, gaming studios cannot portray certain titles in their true form. Yeah. And then Pablo says you get a big overview of what happens in the anime. However, it doesn't really give you the whole feel. Also, the newer games don't have such a good gameplay, in my opinion. Naruto is clearly the better match, though. Oh, he's saying for Sasuke when you were talking about that. But and Sakura, he's unironically right, by the way, about everything that he said, including Naruto being the better match for Sasuke.
But honestly, I think no one should be with Sasuke, because he's just.
Naruto should be with Sasuke. He's literally perfect for him.
Yeah, but Sasuke is such a stupid character.
Oh
my god.
damn, we're about to have a live argument. Okay,
Yeah,
go on. I'll let you.
because like
I'll let
he has
you.
no backbones whatsoever.
That's so. Okay, hold on. Time out. First, let's answer TKP's question. I think that the best way to do anime video games is to do like fighting games, like with Ninja Storm. I think Storm also adds in some cutscenes that are like story relevant, and they redo some. And I think that's a really good way to do it. Is just kind of replay the story, but with like a little a little bit of backstory added in here or there with the help of the mangaka or writer. But I think a fighting game for shonen battle is the best way to go. Like JoJo's kind of famously has like its 2D fighting game from way back when it wasn't even that popular in the West, but everyone somehow knew about the fighting game. The current day we have Eyes of Heaven. I think for shonen battle, fighting games is the way to go, and in different ways. You can be 2D, it could be 2.5D, it could be 3D, whatever. I think fighting games are the way to go without too much focus on story, unless it's like rehashing it with a little bit added or filler. But it's definitely not a substitute for watching the anime or reading the manga in any way, shape, or form. Having the interactive experience of just like a fighting game is not going to be the same of watching the fights and the character development. Pablo said, yeah, in Mexico, I saw the JoJo game in an arcade. Yeah, no, for some reason in the West, like the JoJo fighting game, the 2D one from like way back when, was like really popular for like and like also I've heard you're not the first person, Pablo, to tell me like that JoJo's the older JoJo's was like super popular in Mexico. I had a friend that I met like way back when. I haven't talked to him forever, but I remember me and another dude talking about JoJo's um the animation that's like going on right now by David Productions, and she thought we were talking about the OVA because OVA was super popular and like got played a lot in like Mexican TV. And we were like, no, 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 we're talking about the new one. She was like, what new one? Like, so yeah, like old JoJo's got popular in the West in like different ways, and the fighting game is definitely a big part of that too. But again, it's not a substitute. Do you have anything to say about that?
I don't know about JoJo's games that much.
What, any games, any anime games?
Games either.
I kind of figured, but just in case you would surprise me.
And
First time chatter. Alice Basic. Hey, how are you?
hi.
We're doing all right. We're doing a lot of talking about different anime topics, things about anime industry, just talking that talk.
Mm.
But
Currently Naruto and initially Bleach.
yeah, but yeah, but so you have a problem with Sasuke. This is what, okay, so Pablo, because we were talking about Sakura and we brought up Sakura and Ino's rivalry and how that had to do with well, you said it had to do with Sasuke, like who was better for Sasuke. Which I also don't agree with entirely because that's how it was portrayed. But once we got to the tuning exams, they kind of revealed that their rivalry was more about how they separated as friends and how they kind of needed to get over it.
Yeah, that was like it evolved into different rivalries.
Yeah, well, I think it was that was the core of
that
it.
was yeah, that was
Yeah,
the core
and that
of
was
it.
revealed. But you saying that you said that Sasuke is like a bad character and that no one should be with him.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think he's a
go
bad.
on.
He's a bad person to be with.
Okay.
Because he doesn't really care about other people. Like he literally has plans and actually does destroy Konoha town as well.
He didn't destroy Konoha.
He didn't save it either. He could.
You're not wrong. Okay, keep going.
Like he just does everything he can to make, like basically everyone he grew up with, kind of go through hard times. Like he is not really a help to society, and on the personal level, I feel like he just doesn't care. Like he just goes with the flow, and oh, we're with Akatsuki now. Oh, fine, let's just destroy a bit. And like, for he has like no. I feel like he doesn't have the motivation. He hates his brother, but then this gets resolved. Like he dies, his brother, and gives him Sosano. And he just continues like he is like, oh, whatever. My brother died, but I still hate him.
That's not true. So here's why you're wrong. First of all, and Alice Basic says, "I'm fine. We'll go shopping with the girls, have a pajama party in the evening, and watch a movie together." That's nice. That sounds nice. Also,
Korean.
yo, yeah, I'm fine. Thank you in chat. Hey, what's poppin'? They're speaking Korean. I
It
can't
is a
speak
question,
Korean.
but I'm still deciphering it.
Yeah, I can't speak Korean, and
I started it.
she started it. Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yo,
Don't worry.
yo, yeah.
I know it's not completely right, but
No,
I generally don't like Sasuke because of his actions.
but he has a reason for all of his actions. Because you're not the only person to say this. A lot of people actually share your opinion about Sasuke, but I think that it's like that you're misunderstanding the context of everything. So like Sasuke has his entire clan killed when he's a kid. Yeah?
Yeah.
Killed by his brother. Huge deal. His brother's like directly says to him, "Come back and face me when you have enough hate. When your eyes look like mine, come back and face me." He's talking about the infinite, like not infinite, but he's talking about the Mangekyo Sharingan, in particular. And so Sasuke is living the rest of his life with the goal of killing his brother to avenge his clan. That's a lot of pain and a lot of burden to deal with as a like 5 to 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And then so that shapes how he's going to make relationships when like you can't trust your own family. So why is he going to make friends with Naruto, this goofball? Why is he going to give Sakura the time of day when like she has nothing to offer him? She doesn't even like really take the ninja world seriously like that. Why is he going to trust anyone? And then he finally does like make connections with these people.
And he makes connections mainly with the cards.
No. He and Naruto like very genuinely bond off top during the Land of Waves arc when they're training together to run on the trees. They generally have like bonding experiences. It's like very explicitly shown, and to the point where he almost sacrifices his life for Naruto very early on. Naruto thought he died. He should have died low key because of like the damage he took, but he was able to survive. And he even says to Naruto, like, "I didn't think, I just moved." Because like he alludes to the idea that he doesn't want to be like Itachi. That he, at his core, wants to be a better person, and instead of sacrificing others, sacrifice himself. That's very early on, and then eventually he gets corrupted by Orochimaru, and which is like not hard to do because of the pain that he's feeling and the burden. And again, he's like 15.
But honestly, though, like he had good parents until like everyone in his clan died, but his mind is so. His father was very like overbearing, but also like he has such a weak mind. He could have been stronger, but he just refused to.
But sounds a little victim blaming. So like this dude has an entire clan genocided, and he has to watch it happen through his brother's superpowers. And his brother's like, "The only way for you to feel better about this is to kill me, and kill your best friend." I feel like that's like that takes a lot more than just you can be better than that. Like and especially when again like the most evil dude on the world is trying to corrupt you again at the age of 15. And then succeeding, and even then, I think Swag Kage has like a video about Sasuke's development, yeah, and where he mentions that in the beginning of Naruto Shippuden, where Sasuke is evil, or he's on the side of evil, he's with Orochimaru. We see him. There's a scene, a manga panel where there's like a bunch of people around him, and he just defeated them. He's with Orochimaru, and Orochimaru, I think, asks him why he didn't kill them. He's just like, "It was not necessary." So at this point, even though Sasuke is corrupted, he's still like, "I'm not going to kill people that I don't need to kill because it's not necessary." But where that changes is after Itachi's death. When Itachi dies is when he finds out the truth from Obito, disguised as Madara. And Obito telling him the truth about Itachi and how he sacrificed himself and the clan for the sake of Sasuke and the village is where Sasuke's like, That's where people have the problem with him the most, because they're like, why would he want to destroy the village that his brother sacrificed so much to protect? If he cares about Itachi, there's a reason for that. Because Sasuke's not Itachi. Sasuke does not care about the village. He never did. He cares about his family. He cared about his brother. So the fact that his village used his brother and his clan and made that sacrifice happen pisses him off, rightfully so, and it hurts him deeply. And so he's like, I don't care about them. They caused this.
Does he ever know about the context, like where the order came from?
Yeah,
like,
he does. That's why he killed Danzo.
Does, right?
Yeah, that's why he killed Danzo.
But at the same time, like, he looked up to his brother so much.
But he's not the same person as him. He's not the same personality.
No, but like, instead of like telling himself that his brother might have had no choice, or like there must have something happened, he ends up just like switching. Like, he hates his brother.
Well, no, well,
how did he give up that
he was
loyalty
6 years
so
old. Because he was 6 years old when his brother showed him murdering his clan and told him that he's evil. He's dead ass is just like, I'm evil, come kill me.
Okay, I thought he was older.
No, he was like literally like a child. He was like a kindergarten.
Yeah, I thought he was like 10.
No, like he was like, even so, like he's still like a child, like, because they're again like they're 14. So he's like really young, super duper young.
Mm.
And even if he's 10, that's still not like, he's not gonna have the cognitive ability to be like, there must be a different way. Bro literally told you, I'm the bad guy. Like, but Billie Eilish style.
Wouldn't that kind of create a conflict in Sasuke himself? But
no, he's a child.
100%.
He's a child.
Yeah, but he's seen his brother. He loves it.
But he's a child, and he just watched him murder people. Seeing your brother like give you candy and like help you out when you have a hurt knee is like not gonna outweigh watching him murder your entire family.
I think for a child it might.
I totally disagree. I feel like that's like really just underestimating watching your entire family get murdered as a 6 to 10-year-old, and your brother literally saying, "I'm the bad guy, come kill me for this." Mm-hmm. You're trying to. I feel like you're putting too much like wisdom on a child.
When he grows up, like, he never thinks further than that.
Because why would he? His entire life goal is to kill that man because he's had that since he was a child. That's imprinted on him. You know, he's traumatized. He's literally traumatized. His entire life is a trauma response. Mm-hmm. That's literally Sasuke's whole character is just trauma response to character. Mm-hmm. And like that's not. I'm to be clear. I'm not justifying anything Sasuke does, but it's like the reasons for why his character is the way he is. Because he's constantly being traumatized and like used by the world, and even Itachi, when he gets resurrected through the Edo Tensei, apologizes for it because he's like, instead of trusting that you'd make the right choices, I tried to force a certain path for you as soon as I did everything. And he's like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, he, even though it was with good intentions, he was trying to manipulate his brother the whole time to do the right thing, and it didn't work. Clearly.
No, I mean, the only thing he did was inspire a lot of hate.
Exactly. Like, Itachi unintentionally caused Sasuke to be trauma response the character, and what he wanted to do was to kind of forge him in the fire to become a hero by killing him, but it didn't work.
He wasn't strong enough, Sasuke, and like he became a villain himself.
Well, I think that's not. I think that's not strength. I mean, because I feel like it's not about being strong enough. Like, you can't someone to be like. You weren't strong enough to get over the trauma of your family getting murdered in front of you as a child.
Yeah, well, I mean, Itachi maybe miscalculated because he thought Sasuke was only good, but he was younger.
Yeah, he was too young to understand.
So, like, what he ended up doing instead of like forging a hero is like corrupting his mind.
Yeah. Well, he not even necessarily corrupt. Well, no, yeah, it definitely corrupted him because he just. All he cared about was vengeance.
Yeah, he couldn't enjoy life at all.
Exactly. And well, until Naruto came around, he started to, but that made him easier to corrupt when Orochimaru came around after Naruto and him started to become friends. Mm-hmm. And then after that, for Obito to then come through after he had gotten rid of Orochimaru, because Itachi even literally like got rid of Orochimaru so that Sasuke could walk his own path after he died, but he didn't take into account. Well, he did actually take this into account. Obito, because he gave he put the genjutsu on
Mm-hmm.
Sasuke, to where when he sees Obito's Sharingan, the Amaterasu will consume him. So even Itachi was trying to like he had all the he tried to dot all his I's and cross his T's even in the afterlife, but it just didn't work out like that because he wasn't around to continue manipulating. And it ended up again like having Sasuke go through even more trauma and confusion, and we even see after he finds out about the truth about Itachi in the village, Sasuke has a panic attack on panel, on screen. Like he starts breathing heavily, his eyes bulge, he like is tensing up and holding himself. He's having a panic attack. And then presumably hours later, because he's all cleaned up, his wounds are like patched up and he's wearing new clothes. He's standing out over, I think, over like a ledge. And we look at his face, the panel with his face, and he has the Mangekyo Sharingan. And Mangekyo Sharingan come from having like intense emotions. And it's usually connected to having to kill someone you care deeply about, this being Itachi in this case.
Yeah.
So it shows that he regained his love for his brother, one, and that, again, he's re-traumatized from the death of him. And two, he's crying his eyes out. Like tears streaming down his face. Hours later, presumably, like it's sometime later. Like if it's not hours, an hour, 30 minutes, regardless of the time period. Well, after he had that fight, learned the truth, he's still having such a hard time processing it that it's emotionally damaging him in that moment, even when he's like kind of trying to get his resolve to then be with the Akatsuki.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is clearly having like a huge traumatic effect on him throughout every aspect of his life.
Oh yeah.
So like all of his actions are like, for people like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like it doesn't make any logical sense from like the point of view of someone who would follow in Itachi's footsteps. But he's not trying to follow in his footsteps. He's just mad and traumatized and sad. And so he's lashing out at the entire world because he's a hurt teenager with the power of a god. He's wrong.
I feel like
that's what it is.
He also acts very entitled. This is what, like, if you are traumatized, you don't really react entitled.
That's not entirely true.
Yeah, I guess he grew up that way.
Like, well, he didn't even necessarily grow up entitled. It's just that he like the world does owe him. I mean, they took everything from him. So for him to be like, you owe me that recompense, it makes perfect sense. Because he was an innocent child when everything got taken from him, and then they just keep using him and keep taking from him.
I don't think he has so much self-awareness.
Clearly not. But clearly not. But again, I'm saying that's like, again, the trauma response as well as the clouding of hatred. Everything he loves gets taken away from him. Every time he does love something, the world tells him he needs to hate it to get more power so that he can get back at those who took away from him in the first place. So again, he's living in this cycle of hatred until Naruto breaks it. And it's started by his own village. And just keeps on getting the wounds kind of keep getting reopened every time they start to heal.
Yeah. But also, like, back to the comment why he shouldn't be with anyone is because he is not psychologically ready to be.
Yo, you ain't wrong, way. But I do think Naruto is like there because, like, look, first of all, if you are not psychologically ready to be in a relationship, don't get into a relationship. But if you're an anime character, Naruto is so good at fixing every emotionally damaged person in the entire verse.
But you see him suffer through that.
Naruto?
Yeah. Like, he is very much I couldn't say which points, but he does take damage. Like, he
Physical.
is very, yeah. But like, he has his moments where he's like, yeah, like, I think it's with is he called Kurama?
The nine-tailed fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has these arguments with him because I guess he overextends himself, and you see like this conflict in his own mind that like he can't just go on protecting everyone and like just using up his own energy.
Which is why he needs someone by his side that can help him, and that could be Sasuke.
Can Sasuke help though? Because I think he does more damage than good.
At that point, okay. You also haven't finished it.
Yeah,
Naruto.
I'm not completely finished.
I mean, so spoilers, but like in Boruto, Sasuke is there for him.
Yeah, but I don't think Boruto counts as like the.
It's literally canon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Sasuke ends up helping out like quite a bit. Like Sasuke ends up low key helping him raise his son from the shadows, because Naruto's not he's part of the bad dad shonen battle group along with Goku, but Sasuke is there for like Boruto when Naruto can't be. He looks out for Naruto outside of the village so that he doesn't overextend himself to the entire world. But he also is willing to do anything to protect Naruto, which he also says in Boruto.
We're getting some comments.
Still better than Ging from Hunter x Hunter. No, yeah, that's true. He's still a better dad than him. Also, there's a lot of comments. Alice Passaic? I think you're oversharing a bit. But yeah, I think that the way Sasuke's character goes after the end of Naruto, well, at the end of Naruto until after the end of Naruto is a way better. They're way better fit for each other than anyone else in the verse, unironically.
Yeah, but like the time period I'm talking about is like when they start the school, become ninjas, and until I've watched it, because I can't judge like the rest because I don't know that. I haven't seen it, and I don't think Boruto counts because Naruto in itself finished the story. And of course they can like change the characters a bit and like adjust it and like redeem them even in Boruto, but that didn't take place in Naruto.
It's the same characters in the same world. That's like saying that Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball don't affect each other or like don't count for characters.
It's like continuing on it, but like there's like this time cut. Naruto's finished, and then Boruto starts. And at this time cut, like until then, they're not a good match.
I would still say that again. The fact that I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to spoil anything for you because it involves literally the entire end of Naruto.
Oh yeah, so like until the end fight with Madara,
I can work with that actually.
Then he kind of starts being a better friend, but I wouldn't say he's a good partner.
Is there any end? Well, they help each other grow as well. So in the land of
in an unhealthy way sometimes.
They get. I think. Well, okay. I think part of realizing part of a relationship is being able to realize that not every aspect is going to be savory, but still can be worked through. If anyone did anything that Naruto or Sasuke did, it would be a toxic relationship. But because it's a battle shonen anime, doesn't count. Because there's like me and you are never going to get into an ideological battle that involves like mass murder and literal aliens and us having superpowers. So I don't think that that's something that we can use as a good comparison. Whereas like the way that their world works, I think that Naruto is literally and Sasuke are the only people that understand each other in that way, or at least some of them amongst them. As well as like Gaara, which is why I put him in the other video. Sasuke, during the battle with Madara, when Madara uses the Infinite Tsukuyomi, Sasuke uses his Susanoo to cover up Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi. Uh, and he literally tells Kakashi and Sakura, the only reason I saved y'all is because Naruto is right next to you. And he's alluding to, one, that Naruto is a powerful asset in this fight, and two, that Naruto's the only person there that he actually still cares about at that point.
Oh, Naruto is like definitely an anchor for Sasuke.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Sasuke is also an anchor for Naruto, but that doesn't mean they're a good match. Like,
I don't think they're a healthy match, but I do think they're a good match. I think that's a important distinction.
Maybe we have to differentiate.
Yeah, because I don't think they're a healthy match. Like, they have a very unhealthy relationship with one another.
Yeah,
Naruto.
that's what I meant. Honestly,
okay, yeah, but I still think that regardless of that, because of the circumstances of like their world, that they're the perfect match for one another. Even because their unhealthy relationship seems to only be able to be mended by them turning it into a healthy one.
Yeah.
Which you slowly see happening at this point.
I could be happy with that conclusion. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
We went on for quite some time, so unless you got more you want to talk about.
It's a big arc, and you have many things to talk and criticize or also consider.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not the healthiest relationship.
No.
But it is a relationship. And yeah, like at the beginning it's not good, but towards the end of the battle is how far I've seen it gets better. Like they get more considerate of each other, not just oh, you're trying to be my friend, I'll beat you up kind of thing. Yeah.
I will say it was quite a Sasuke tangent. Yeah. I think we're probably going to end it on that for real. We can come back to more stuff later if you want. But yeah, I think
we could still go back to Bleach because that's where we started. I don't know.
We can do that on another time. I think we should. This is enough for today.
It was quite Naruto heavy.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning it was very Bleach heavy. I think it was pretty half and half for real. But yeah, honestly, don't know when I'm going to stream again. I think Sundays for the Young Beowulf channel is going to be the time. That's when I have the most time to be able to stream. I'll definitely just keep an eye out for your notifications. If you follow me on Instagram at mtsharps3, then I'll be posting it up on there. If you know me personally, then check my Snapchat stories, because the only time I post is either when I feel like I've got the drip going or if I'm going to be streaming. Also, every Saturday, I'm streaming on Kurudu Forever streams, and we have the show Reconnected, where we talk about Nigerian culture, African culture, Black culture, and culture in general. Pablo, I'll definitely hit you up when it's time to stream together for us. We'll figure something out. And but yeah, definitely check out Kudu streams in general. He does gameplay stuff, art streams. Also, again, we have Reconnected, and starting next week, we're actually going to be doing a special Black History Month marathon, where I'll be doing a lot of research into figures throughout Black history, and we'll be teaching about those. Next week is going to be Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers, as well as Huey P. Newton, who's the creator. That'll be a really big one, very important to me in particular. And I think it'll be a great way to kind of get a lot of knowledge on the plight that the Black community's kind of gone through, as well as some great societal, at least in the US, some societal change that happened because of figures in the Black community. Also, if you want to check out more content from me in particular, on YouTube, it's Young Beowulf, no underscore, just Young Beowulf. That's where I post the VODs. I post the podcast up on there as well. If you want to just listen to the podcast without having to go through YouTube, you can go on anchor.fm. I'll get the ads on there, get sent back to me for revenue, so I can hopefully get a little kickback on that if you want to support me without having to actually pay any money. If you have Spotify, you can go on there, on Apple Podcasts as well. And do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, I would definitely recommend the chat with Kuro Forever that they did together. It's a very interesting stream. Yeah, I listen to it often. Can recommend it a lot.
All right. Yo, thank you everybody for coming through. And again, watch your notifications for the next time I'm streaming and check out all the other podcast episodes. Peace.